Oftentimes on my channel, I will post a black excellence, melanated excellence, as I like to call it, story on my timeline, whether it's one that I find or one that is sent to me. And I'm appreciative of those type of stories, like very appreciative. And shout out to those who send them to me whenever they possibly can. But there's a pattern I've been noticing when it comes to these stories, especially, more specifically rather, when it comes to the black male, whether it's a grown man or a black teen. But I've noticed it's also is mainly come from when it's a black teen, specifically one who is not 18 yet. So they're kind of a minor. I guess you can say they're 13 to 17. Now, I just recently did a video about a young boy by the name of taureanreign who got his associate's degree while still being in high school. He hasn't gotten his high school diploma yet, and I think he's about to enroll, if he hasn't enrolled already, into a major school in Ohio. And what an amazing feat that is for someone of his caliber. And I can't wait to see or hear what he is going to do going forward, because I believe he said he wanted to be a film director. But I'm noticing a pattern from some of the comments I get, not only from that story, but from various other stories I do when it comes to melanated men or melanated males, whether they are grown men or boys, teenagers, whatever. They can have all the accolades and get all the praise for whatever it is that they're doing, starting a business, graduating with honors, doing just amazing things. But for some strange reason, it's two comments in particular that I constantly see from various people every single time I upload a video displaying their achievements. One of them is, I hope that they don't get killed by the cops. Let me tell you why that is a problem for me. And it's sad that people want to lead with a comment like that. Here I am talking about a very positive story. One that should be seen as a relief, a breath of fresh air on my channel, considering the type of topics I display or talk about on my channel that are saturated with those type of stories. But you want to come along and leave a comment like that under a story like this. Why? Why was the first thing that came to your mind about them possibly getting shot by the cops? And you are a black individual yourself, as far as I know. But then again, on the internet, anybody can be whatever they want. Hence why the internet is still undefeated. Like, why would you want to bring that kind of dark vibe to such a lighthearted story? Why? I saw that today and I responded to that person. I'm not going to say who the person was, but if they're listening to this video, just know that this is about you. Well, this part of it anyway, because it's another comment that I'm going to get into after I get off of this. But why would you leave a comment like that? It had nothing to do with that. Like, why would you bring up something like, put that out into the universe? Like, I don't like when people put out bad energy into the universe. It literally messes up my day. It like the person who left that, they almost got, I was so close to blocking them for that. I almost didn't respond. I hope they saw what I responded with too. And it wasn't even a negative response. It wasn't a very heavy-handed response. It's sort of like what I'm doing right now. I just did not like that comment at all. Like, I talk about someone who graduated with an associate's degree before they graduated from high school and so on and so forth. And you want to reply with that, I hope they don't get shot by the cops? That makes you sound like the feds. I just don't like that particular comment. And that's not the first time I've seen it. I've seen it other times too. Or they said they need to be protected because someone might come after them. Why would you put that out there that someone's going to come after them? Because now you're going to try to put into their mind that they need to live in a state of perpetual fear. We cannot live in that state of being in fear all the damn time. Maybe you can, but the collective of us cannot. That was the first comment. Now, this one right here is one that I see way too often, even more so than the one I just talked about. And this is definitely geared more towards the males. And it actually is only geared to the males because it couldn't relate to the women. And that is this one. I hope he doesn't end up with a Becky. And that one, we already know where that comment comes from. Believe it or not, it comes from some of the men too. I hope he doesn't end up with a Becky. Why is it that every time a black man or a black male accomplishes something, everyone thinks that they're going to end up with a white woman? Why is that? Meanwhile, you have a lot of these insta thoughts who look just like him, who will be the first ones to shoot their shot in his DM way before and faster probably than a Becky ever could get her chance to do so. If you don't believe me, look at how a lot of these athletes end up with a lot of these so-called Instagram models and they damn near clean them out. And most of them are not even white. Most of them are melanated. Don't act like you don't see them insta thoughts all over the damn place, just thirsting it up. Now, granted, some of them are dumb enough to respond to them, but many of them do it because they feel like that's a quick pump and dump. But then for some strange reason, they end up in a relationship with them and that's their business, whatever. That was dumb on their part. But many of you think that they are going to automatically end up with a white woman. Harvey has talked about this plenty of times on his channel. Black men are not chasing after white women as much as many would think. And stats have proven and backed that up plenty of times. But like the Grinch God says, most niggas don't read. Or they do, but they'll still choose to be naive. My thing is, why are you trying to push this black boy into the arms of a white girl? If you don't want them to be together, why put that out there in the universe? Whatever you put out there in the universe might actually come back and respond to you and say, hey, maybe that should happen. Many of you will say don't end up with a Becky, but so much faster than you would say, I hope he ends up with a decent black woman. And notice I said decent black woman and not a ratchet or a thought or a strag. Or end up with a decent woman, period. Now, when I talk about the melanated excellence for the women or the girls, I never get that kind of comment saying, I hope she doesn't end up with a Brad. I never see that. And I promise you that. And I'm not just saying it to say it. I never see it. As a matter of fact, when I did that video about that young girl who got her pilot's license before she was going to graduate, I didn't see no one say, I hope she doesn't end up with a Brad. It was just nothing but congratulations all the way down the timeline like it should be. But when it comes to the boys or the men, I hope she don't end up with a Becky. I hope he don't end up with a Becky. That is plantation politics 101. And many of you don't even realize it. Now, I understand why many of you would say that and why you wouldn't want him to end up with a white woman and everything like that. But guess what? He could end up with a damn ratchet that could clean his ass the fuck out just as fast as she could. Let's not forget what Robin Givens almost did to Mike Tyson. Well, not almost, but what she did. Many people were mad at Robert F. Smith even after he did his great deed for Morehouse College because of who his spouse was. Meanwhile, you have some of them that are in a relationship with the same social construct and wouldn't even do that. But y'all too busy blowing smoke up Oprah's ass even after the traitorous thing she has done over the last few years. And some still are blowing smoke up her ass. Like when he donated that money to Morehouse so they could pay off their student loans, you had so many people who was mad at him for his spouse saying, well, Oprah did the same thing. Well, Oprah also opened up a school in South Africa where the girls over there were being raped, and then opened up a school here because she said that the girls here would be unappreciative and lazy and shiftless. That's what she said. But back to what I was saying. People keep saying don't end up with a Becky. And to my response is that to you, if he did, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go up to him and tell him that he's dead wrong for it? No, you're not going to do that. And I know you won't do that. As a matter of fact, for many of you who wrote that, by the time he even gets in a relationship, even if he's in one, many of you will have forgotten about this story. I'm just being completely honest. Many of you will have forgotten about this story. He will be a distant memory for you. Some of you probably have forgotten already until I mentioned him. I bet you if I was to say right now what was his name, you be like, let me go back and look. You would have forgotten that fast. And by the time this video goes up, it would have been a few days later. Literally just a few days later. Now, this is not me saying, I'm advocating for him to, go and leap into the arms of a palm-colored woman. No. But this is me responding saying, why are you bringing her up? If you don't like her that much, or as you claim you don't, why mention her? Why mention someone you don't like all the time? All you had to do was leave your congratulations and say you hope he has a bright future and be on your way. But the fact that you, like the person who led with the not getting shot, you led with the part about him not being with, hoping he doesn't end up with a Becky, means that you were not really concerned with his future as far as success go. You were concerned with his future as far as a mate, and that wasn't what the video was about. But that was on your mind. So it makes you wonder, who dwells more in whose mind? Because they always say whoever dwells in your mind the most, like they take up all that space or whatever however that quote goes. Like when I did this story, the first thing that came into my mind wasn't who he wasn't going to be in a relationship with, or him, or worry about him and his safety, as far as like, with these pigs out here or whoever else. It was just congratulating him on his success, and that's it. And that's all that should have been talked about. But that's really all I wanted to mention and discuss on this particular video. I think I got out what I needed to, but something tells me it might be falling on deaf ears, because I have a feeling when I talk about the next melanated success story that happens to be a male, those two comments will pop right back on up. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and have your notifications turned on. I will talk to you in the next one.